Today we have two different devices that are upping the game on portable consoles. That is the Valve Steam Deck on one hand and the Logitech Cloud on the other. These are two very different devices that do a few similar things. Let's compare the two and see what's right for you. Alright, let's start with a quick overview of each device so we're all on the same page. So, here are the two devices' physical specs. I'm going to list them on screen quickly so we're on the same page and then get into the devices. If you'd like to, pause now. So let's get into the physical devices. The Valve Steam Deck comes in black, has a bunch of different buttons, joysticks, and two touchpads along with a touch screen, USB-C power in that you can connect to a dock, headphone jack, and a bunch of other goodies. The Logitech Cloud, on the other hand, is a little bit smaller, comes in white, gray, and yellow color scheme, which is not my favorite. Has a gloss 7-inch screen that you can't choose any different option for. It's just one spec you can choose from. Buttons, joysticks, all the same contenders that the Steam Deck has, minus the track pads, and they added some nip-looking buttons. No. So, for the ergonomics of each device, the Steam Deck is bigger than the Cloud. The Steam Deck is a full-blown Linux system that has a bunch more stuff on it. And it's a little bit heavier and comes with a bigger case and is a little bit more cumbersome. The Logitech Cloud, on the other hand, is a lot smaller and closer to a tablet-sized device that, if you could probably stick it in your pocket, but you'd have to have gigantic pants. This is going to go in a backpack, so will the Steam Deck, or sit on a desk or table somewhere. These are not small devices, but out of both of them, the Logitech Cloud is the smaller, lighter device. Each device has two different screens. The Valve Steam Deck, a 1200 by 800 resolution, and on my version, a matte screen at 60 Hertz at 7 inches. I like this screen, but after seeing the Logitech screen, which is a 1920 by 1080 HD at 60 Hertz device, I really wish the Steam Deck had that one. Now, I don't like the gloss. On a device that's going to be used out in the sun, it's a giant pain in the butt because you put a bright light in front of it, all you can see is yourself. So, that being said, the Logitech Cloud put a little more into the screen because they knew the internals weren't as beefy as the Steam Decks. They honestly probably had these in the works before the Steam Deck came out. So I could see why they went with a better screen versus better internals for what this device does. This doesn't discredit Valve's option either, because that screen has some pretty good colors on it, and from how big it is, the difference, unless you're holding them directly together, you're not going to notice. Battery comparisons. All right, so the battery comparison between these two devices, the Steam Deck gets around 4 to 6 hours depending on the title, and also depending on what you're doing. So if you're doing something a little bit less, you could get more and more than that. But this is the general usage. If you're installing games that run on medium to low settings, you're going to get around 4 to 6 hours, which is pretty good considering how much power is in that device. Now, the Logitech Cloud is in a totally different scenario here, because this device is not meant to be under its own power. It's a streaming device just like a tablet is for Netflix or Hulu. This is aimed at that. So the battery life is actually a lot more. I've only charged it twice and I've had it for 3 weeks now, which is kind of crazy. The standby and resume is pretty good, and the general playback, if you're going full bore the whole time, you're going to get between 10 and 15 hours of gaming on this thing. That's pretty good. I'm laying all these things out so we can make decisions later. And we all know how we like to make decisions. Do I want that or this? They're both terrible. Make me a new one. Moving down to sound. The Steam Deck has a headphone hole, Bluetooth connection for Bluetooth speakers, and speakers that get pretty loud and fire directly at you. No problems, no issues whatsoever. Audio is great. On Logitech's side, they have an audio jack, Bluetooth, and also speakers which get loud but fire directly downwards. Have you ever played on the couch? Have you ever rested your hands on top of yourself? Have you ever dropped your phone on your face? Yeah, we all know what we're talking about. So if you play with that on your chest while you're laying down, you can't hear it at all. So that kind of sucks. I recommend playing with headphones and then you don't have any other problems. Just something to think about. All right, so let's talk about the software for each different device. Let's start with the overlay that each one of them runs. The Steam Deck runs a Linux-based system that has a Steam OS overlay on top of a Linux desktop. This works great because Valve has a big picture mode they've been working on for years and now have ported this and used it to make this Steam OS, which works great. This is what it boots into. Kind of reminds me of the Switch, but with Steam's flavor over top of it. Now, the Logitech Cloud is running Android 11, I believe. So this device starts up like an Android device. It asks you to sign into Google and do all these other things, and this device is an Android tablet. Now, Logitech has made a front end over top of that, which it launches into versus launching into like your home screen where you'd see like apps and stuff, which I think is very nice. I think it works for the base functions of this device. Is it the greatest? No, you can't. There's little quirks and features that kind of degrade the experience, but that could be fixed in later revisions of just software. This is their first time putting an OS overlay like this out, and I think they did a fine job. It does well for what it is. It's not nearly as good as the Steam Decks. So if you're okay with fiddling a little bit, or you're going in knowing that you're going to be using Android apps, you'll know. Oh, you'll know. So each device can run things under its own power. The Steam Deck running much more under its own power, which is its base intention, versus the Cloud, which runs a few things under its own power. Not really what it's meant for. But they can both stream games. You can get on the Steam Deck the Xbox Game Pass and also Nvidia's GeForce Now. Both run pretty well. The Logitech Cloud streams these two options much better than the Deck does. The Deck actually needs some lines of code and you to put it into Steam as a game to get it to run. Whereas on the Cloud, they come as apps. So it's a little bit easier for you to just click download, sign in, and you're good to go. Just thought I brought that up because the Cloud's whole idea is streaming. And the Steam Deck can do it, but you need to fiddle. A little bit of fiddling. Each one of them has their own store. So the Steam Deck has the Steam store that you can buy any Steam game, plunk it on there, and it might run. They have a verified or not verified section on Steam to tell you which games are going to run well on the Deck. This is great. As for the Logitech Cloud, well, you have the Android store, and not much stuff in there is per specific device. So anything you download, like an emulator or a phone game, you might have some issues playing. I only tested the things that it is made for, so I kept to that. But your mileage may vary when you install, say, a PSP emulator, which it works pretty well for, but it's not going to work much more than that. The GameCube, not really. Same thing with any like PS2 games or higher. It's not going to really work very well for that. But I thought I'd mention each store because you have the Google store and the Valve Steam store, so you can buy things from each of them. All right, so let's dive into the kicker, which is price. The Valve Steam Deck has models from $400 to $650. The Logitech Cloud is $350. That's the price comparison. So, who are these two devices for? Well, if you don't have either, the Logitech Cloud might be for someone who already has maybe a GeForce Now account and an Xbox. Both using passes from either of those, you will be able to pick up this and play automatically. Now without this, you are stuck to Android-only games. So without those monthly fees, you're kind of stuck with a bricked up device. Now it'll play PSP games, emulators, and stuff like that, but that's kind of what that device is for. So if you don't have anything and you have streaming passes already that you're invested in and would keep paying for, this device on sale might be a great buy for you. However, if you don't have a device and maybe you only have a PlayStation, which technically you can play the PlayStation Cast on both of these devices. I don't really like the PlayStation streaming service. I think it works great for the computer. I don't like how it works for the consoles. That's a whole story aside. Go check out my Logitech Cloud review for that rant. For the Valve Steam Deck, if you don't have any sort of device, maybe you just have a laptop for school but don't really want to buy into the whole gaming community of PC Master Race, this might be for you. The $400 to $650 point can get you into gaming on the go, and then if you have a monitor that you normally plug your laptop in, you could plug it into there and go ahead from there. Then maybe get a controller and you have your gaming on Steam sorted. So let's move on with a few other assumptions, because this market is vast and these two devices are kind of the forefront right now of things coming out and things being different. It's nice to have contenders and be able to talk about options. So if you already have purchased and received a Steam Deck, is the Logitech Cloud for you? Do you need this item? I personally do not think so. Having both in my possession right now, I'm playing both, but it's because I have the option. I would not miss the Cloud if I only had my deck, because it came out first and I bought that first. Now that being said, I did not have any of these streaming services and had to get them to play the Cloud. If you already have streaming services that you're paying for and don't have a Steam Deck, the Cloud looks pretty good. It's white like a cloud, also yellow like sulfuric rain. It might be good for you. So it's really hard to recommend one over the other, because I think it lends itself to two different circumstances. If you have neither and want neither, don't buy either of them. Get yourself a Game Boy off eBay and some old cartridges. You'll be fine. But if you're looking to get into one of these, if you have streaming, I think that's a great option for the Cloud. If you don't have streaming and have a huge Steam library that you don't get to play on the go, I think the Steam Deck's for that. But here's why I do still like both of these devices. Not having tried the game streaming services and now have been using the PlayStation Plus, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and GeForce Now, I could say that game streaming is awesome. And I think the Cloud does a very good job of doing that. And if you have, maybe you have a big bad computer with Steam on it at home, and maybe you have a kid who you want to get into gaming, but you don't want to give them your only computer to play on and gum up and put Cheerios inside of things, this would be a great option. Where the Steam Deck, I don't think would be, because you can pop onto GeForce Now, you're not using your own computer, you're using someone else's computer, and you can give them all the games you own. Go play those. Don't bother me. But on the other hand, the Steam Deck just does a lot, and it is cool how much it can do. It's almost like glossing over how much it could do. It emulates well, it can stream all of the things with a bunch of fiddling, tons of games, and this device was what I wanted when laptops started becoming popular and started becoming good. I remember getting a gaming laptop for college. I can't remember what series. It was an Asus one that looked like one of the Jets. And when I saw that come out, what I wanted was the Steam Deck, because I wanted to play games, but I didn't want to bring a controller around, bring headphones around. What I wanted was the Steam Deck. So Gabe figured that out years later, but this is how long it took for us to get to big chonky laptop to smaller portable device that has some power to it. On the other hand, we have a separation of the two devices. We're gonna have a computer somewhere else go do all the work, and we're gonna stream it just like Netflix. So I like each device for what they're made for. I see myself playing the Cloud more often because I can pick it up, crank it on really quickly, and it's always charged. Where if I leave the Steam Deck on for more than a day, it's dead. So, because I always leave the games on. I don't know why. I don't exit anything. I'm just click done. Regardless, I like the Cloud for what it does, and I'm glad Logitech made it. I think it's a solid device, and I think it feels great, plays great, and looks great. I have almost the same compliments for the Steam Deck as well. It's just this thing has got a beefy chip inside of it, so it can do a lot more without being online or tied to a monthly subscription. So these are my thoughts on having, owning, and playing with these devices for quite a few hours now. Hours? Days? I don't know how long it's been. But I have full breakdowns of both devices here on the channel, And if you'd like to see more, here they are. Take a look. Don't cost you nothing. Maybe an ad or two, you know. Click on one of them. Tell you more about Steam Deck, tell you more about the cloud. We got options. That's all I got. I like both of these. I don't want to return any of them. But I still like. I don't like the color scheme though. Just give me a black version. Later, taters.